sports, and politics. Get ready to rumble! You wanna talk smack? You in the right place. So take a step back before I get all up in your
remember, because I don't remember. I remember every bit of this.
You're the dudes holding on the phone line. Your voice will be heard, sir.
Next caller, please.
Oh!
Jerry's gonna get him.
Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics.
Listeners are asking questions about this week's games, not Jerry's personal beef. So what's your thought?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Fantasy Sports and Politics. It's me, Mr. FSP, and I'm here to give you what you need to succeed. So, on today's episode, I'm going to talk about week 3 in the NFL. What in the world is going on with the quarterbacks? 6 quarterbacks, 6 starting quarterbacks are not starting this week. It's backup time, and we're only 3 weeks in. We'll talk about that. Week 3, of course, like I said, we'll talk about those games, give you my predictions. I'll tell you what I was last week. I'll put it across the bottom so you can see. It wasn't a banner week for me, but I'm transparent and I'm real. Also, I'm going to address all of you Canelo Alvarez lovers and Bud Crawford haters. Matter of fact, I made some notes and names of people that called me out, said I didn't know what I was talking about. So I'm going to address you first because I got some animosity built up and I want to get that animosity out. Firstly, YouTube folks. Yes, at Marco Perez-GM7PI, he said, you don't know anything about boxing. Canelo wins in 11 rounds. Hey, Marco, how'd that work out? I just want to know. Now I'm about to be my Stephen A. Smith and hit you with some vocabulary that is extraordinarily off the charts and radioactively futuristic. I'm not going to do that. But how'd that work out for you? I don't know boxing. I don't know how you can beat him. But yet, Bud did exactly what I said he would do. Stick and move, use angles, use his jab, and just outpoint him. It was a total domination. You can't say it wasn't. I noticed you didn't come back on the thread and say, you know what, you were right. Moving on. Chris P-I9Q. Canelo will walk him down. I think Bud walked Canelo down. Bud even said, you know what? Let me stop pointing him. Let me just go ahead and slug it out with him for a little bit. And we keep seeing the meme of where Canelo goes. I think that was Bud who made him do that several times. There was no walking Bud down. Bud walked, dog walked, mud drug Canelo like he was nothing. And by the way, for those that say Canelo was old, Bud is older. 38 and still undefeated. Let me move on. At James Garcia 6966. This clown really says Crawford has good defense. I think Bud Crawford had very good defense. Very good defense. He left with a busted lip, like a little lip. Have y'all seen Canelo? Knotted up and all that. All I can tell you is boxing is Christopher, I appreciate your post, but this, I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not going to disagree with you because boxing can be boring if you have the wrong fighters. The wrong fighters. I'll be very honest with you. Um, what's my guy name? Oh, De La Hoya. De La Hoya put out. He has this YouTube thing called Clapback, and he says whoever booked that mega fight did a terrible job with the undercard because it was boring. Not going to disagree with that, right? You had a mega fight, and there were a couple of fighters that could have fought underneath for belts that could literally have fought the winner of this fight. De La Hoya brings that up. I give him credit for that. Former, and I think he still is, boxing promoter and former Golden Gloves champion, former Olympic champion, former world heavyweight, I mean, not world heavyweight champion, but former champion in boxing. So boxing can be boring, but that fight was not. I only mentioned the YouTube folks. The reason why I mentioned the YouTube folks is because I've already addressed the TikTok folks, and none of them, absolutely none of them, have replied to my clapback, the clapback, the clapback. Let's take on more clapback. That was from Ja Rule, but 50 Cent took a hint to carry him. My point is, just because you don't agree with my take or you don't agree with the way I present it does not mean I'm wrong. It's my opinion. My opinion in this case happened to be spot on. Spot on. I also said one judge was going to give the fight to Canelo, and two judges were going to give it to Bud. It was reversed. One judge actually scored it pretty right. I think it was like 117 to 112 or 111, something like that. The other two judges, 115, 113. That fight was nowhere near that close. Bud Crawford had to beat down Canelo the way he did, if not knock him out. Two judges were blind, absolutely blind. The fact, and I get it. Canelo had to raise his hand at the end of the fight because, he's a champ. He wants to look like he's got energy and stuff like that. Canelo knew he lost that fight. He knew he lost the fight, or did he? Those two judges could have turned that into a split or into a draw, a majority draw. And I don't know what they saw, but the rest of the world saw on Netflix Canelo Alvarez get dismantled by the better technical boxer. Plain and simple. So, folks, I'm not claiming to be the best guru of sports, football, baseball, basketball, boxing, but I do have a good eye for technique. I have a good eye for matchups. Do they always play out the way I want them to? No. But I will say, in this case, Bud Crawford is the best boxer of this era. Period. Point blank. Undefeated. Beat everybody they put in front of him. And they put some good people in front of him. What? 4, 5 different weight classes? Moves up 2 weight classes. He fought at his walk around weight. People don't understand. If he had power at lower weights, what do you think he has at his walk around weight? The one thing you could question at that is his stamina. Was he going to be able to have the stamina to go 12 rounds? Yeah. Did you see the same fight? He had more energy than Canelo had. Who fights at that weight all the time? All I can say is this. People were wrong about Bud Crawford when he fought Earl Spence. People were wrong about Bud Crawford when he fought Canelo Alvarez. I don't know if he really needs to fight anybody. At 38, I don't think he needs to fight anybody. He got screwed royally at the pay window, so he might fight again. Canelo made what, roughly 120 million. Bud made like 10. Who was the $150 million fighter that night? And you notice Canelo was not asking for a rematch. Normally, if a fight is close, a boxer of Canelo Alvarez's stature wants a rematch for his titles that he just lost. He said nothing. And both men were honorable. I gotta love the sportsmanship they both showed. Boxing needed that. Like Chris said, I'm gonna put it back up. Chris said, boxing is boring. He said what he said. But if you have fights like that draw the interest, and David slays Goliath, boxing won't be that boring. But matchmakers got to stop protecting their boxers that are supposed to be that good. I'm not saying take it all the way back to the 80s where every fight was a bloodbath. It was marvelous. Marvelous. I'm not saying do that. What I'm saying is, if you want to make boxing relevant, you need to put on cards with headliners like that and undercards that have just as much impact. Y'all can get on Oscar De La Hoya all you want. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to boxing. That's all I can say. All right, moving on. We're going to get into football. After patting myself on the back, about all the wins I got, right? Last week, I didn't do too hot. I didn't do too hot. So last week, let's count them down. I picked Green Bay to beat Washington. I picked the Ravens to beat Cleveland. I picked Jacksonville to beat the Bengals. Almost happened, but it did not. I picked the Cowboys to beat the Giants, which barely happened. I picked the Lions to beat the Bears, destroyed them. I picked New England to beat Miami. I picked the Saints to beat the 49ers, almost, no cigar. I picked the Bills to beat the Jets, that's 6. I picked the Steelers to beat Seattle, didn't happen. I picked the Rams to beat Tennessee, 7. I picked the Cardinals to beat the Panthers, almost lost that game, that's 8. I picked the Broncos to beat the Colts. Colts are shocking. Colts are shocking. I picked Philly to beat KC, that's 9. I picked Atlanta to beat the Vikings. Then, that's 10 wins. I picked Tampa to beat the Texans, that's 11. I picked the Chargers to beat the Raiders, that's 12 wins. Week before, let me put it up here so I can show y'all what I was a week before. Week before, I went 11-5. I went 11-5 week 1. Week 2, I went 12-4. Let me go ahead and put that up there. Let me edit that. Week 2, 12-4. I just went over the team, so I'm not worried about it. 11-5, 12-4. It's a good start, but it wasn't good enough for me. I want to go 16-0. I want 1 week. I want to happen more than once, but I want to have a week where I am 16-0, and I got to get that before the bye week start. Bye week start week 15. This is a tough week to do that. It's a tough week to do that. But we already got Buffalo. Already got Buffalo in the shoot, so that's 1 win. Let's talk about the rest of the week. And with that, y'all know I gotta play some music. Yeah. That's my Deion Sanders. I don't know, that might be a little too loud. Let me take it down just a bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna start game 1. Atlanta goes to Carolina. Again, I was at the Carolina Cardinals game, and I got to see firsthand, what Carolina looks like. Carolina's about this close from being a very good team. The problem is they need to revamp that offensive line. First play offensively for Carolina, sack, strip, fumbled, touchdown for the Cardinals. Didn't get much better. The wife wanted to leave the game mid-third quarter. I said, okay. Well, that's when Carolina decided they wanted to score. Atlanta cut their long-time kicker, Young-Ho Koo. Listen, kickers getting slumps. Koo's been in a slump, right? Second half of last year, starting off this year. He clears waivers, I believe, Tuesday. He's going to get picked up by somebody. The kid can kick. Preferably a team that kicks indoors because he has a leg. Just got to get out of this funk. Did y'all see Bijan Robinson? Did you? I know everybody had Chase, their number 1 overall. I had the number 1 overall pick twice in my mini fantasy leagues. One time I picked Chase, one time I picked Bijan. I'm glad I picked Bijan. More about the Chase pick when we get to the Cincinnati game. That kid is going to be something special for Atlanta, and Atlanta's already 1-1. Atlanta's going to go 2-1 in Carolina with a kicker who they just signed to a 2-year deal who came in. I wouldn't have signed him just yet, honestly. You're kicking in a dome, controlled temperature, no wind. I would have waited to see how he kicked at Carolina myself. I don't know what the conditions will be like, but that's what I would have did. I got Atlanta beating Carolina. All right, let's move on. Green Bay at Cleveland. Yes, I'm anointing Green Bay's defense as the bomb.com because they are on fire. You shut down two of the highest scoring teams in the NFL last year and looking like they're going to be pretty good this year. Just shut them down. Offensively, Josh Jacobs has scored a touchdown in the last 8 games that he's played. That don't change. I know Cleveland held the king and Lamar out of the end zone on the ground. But didn't I tell y'all Joe Flacco was going to get hurt? Joe Flacco didn't finish a game that he should have finished. Coach decided to pull him. Put Dylan Gabriel in for to give him some experience, I guess. With 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. It wasn't a blowout. Close, but it wasn't a blowout. Green Bay is going to show Cleveland. I don't care if you put Junkins in and let him start, which he's doing. So everybody got Sampson, put him on the back burner. Make him a flex. Don't drop him. Because we don't know what Junkins is going to do. We know what he can do, but we don't know what he's going to do. But against Green Bay as your first start, it's not going to look good. If Green Bay plays the way they did the past 2 weeks versus the run, Cleveland's going to get shut out. Because if they can stop you on the run with 4 to 5 players, that's 6 to 7 in coverage. They can play zone the whole game. And the nice tight end Fannin, who they line up in the backfield sometimes and line them up in the slot sometimes. If you haven't picked him up and he's still on the waiver wire, shame on you guys. He's going to be an asset to Cleveland at the detriment of Njoku. But Tillman and Judy, cut bait. Trade him for something. Get something for him. Get something for him now. Green Bay is going to show you why. Green Bay. Big game in the AFC South. Jacksonville should have beaten Cincinnati. They knocked Joe Burrow out of the game, first quarter? First or second drive, something like that. They let Browning come in and we're all over the place. Target, I'll say that for the next game. Jacksonville has a very good team. Houston, their offense seems to be sputtering. I can't explain their offense. It was Bobby Slowick. It wasn't Slowick. It's the concepts. Chris Evers says Green Bay looks legit so far this year. Yes, they do. He also said the Panthers' problem is Baker Mayfield. I'm improving Vic versus DuPont. Fight 12 rounds. My guy, Descartes. Peace. Okay. Let's stick to Houston. Okay. They have no run game. I know you got Nick Chubb. I know you got Matt. And you got Olawandi or something like that. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. I know you have my guy, Collins. But what did I say about Houston in the preseason? I said their offensive line is terrible. 3 of the 5 players on that offensive line have been replaced. There's no chemistry. And the guys that replaced the guys that left are not very good at run blocking. Zone run blocking, to be specific. Was nothing but cutting on the backside. Nick Chubb is not the same runner as Joe Mixon. Both hit holes hard. Got it. Mixon is a zone run type of running back. Chubb, he's a gap running back. Point him to the gap, let him hit it. Good footwork, not as fast, but he brings a load behind him. Houston has to commit to the run. They have to commit to the run. Make it a boring, slow game. If Jacksonville gets out to like a 10-14-0 score, it's going to be hard for Houston to come back, even with their great defense. But I'm going to pick Houston. Let me take notes again, because I really want to pick Jacksonville. But I'm going to pick Houston to get off the snide against Jacksonville in Duval. Y'all know why I did that. Now, let's talk about it. I also told you guys during my divisional breakdown, Joe Burrow gets hurt every other year. This happens to be the year. Count it. Every odd year, Joe Burrow is going to get hurt. The Comeback Player of the Year award should go to Joe Burrow every other year because he comes back every other year because the offensive line sucks. Someone stepped on his foot, broke his toe, gone for 3 months. That's up to what, week 14. Does you no good, fantasy owners. Week 14 is normally when our playoffs start. You gotta get to the playoffs and hope Joe Burrow comes back by then to use him. I said I was gonna mention the fact that I got Jamar Chase, the first overall pick in the league. I did. And in that league, you take 2 quarterbacks. So my 2 quarterbacks are, I believe, Lamar and Joe Burrow. Why? Because I wanted to stack them with Jamar Chase. This is the first game we're going to talk about that has a backup quarterback. There are a lot of games that have backup quarterbacks in them. This game has 2 of them. Browning came in and targeted Jamar Chase 10 times. Jamar caught 9 of them for $130. It's good. But that's not going to happen this week. Jamar Chase, I'm going to give Jamar Chase like 4 or 5 receptions. Not 9. 4 to 5. Minnesota's defense is a monster. Once Brian Flores figures out what the issue is, it's a monster. Last week, when Minnesota played Chicago, Van Ginkel was not in the lineup. And again, in the summer, I had Van Ginkel as one of my top edge rushers because he had like 20-something sacks last year. But he also plays the flats and those bubble screens and the back very, very well. So as long as he's playing this week, Minnesota, their defense is going to cover the mistakes that the other backup's going to make. Carson Wentz. What did I tell you about McCarthy? McCarthy is basically a rookie. McCarthy is a very good player. But McCarthy, he's making mistakes that put the team in a hole for 2 to 3 quarters of a game. And you can't keep doing that. Unfortunately, he has an ankle sprain. I think it's a high ankle sprain. And he's out for at least a week. Cincinnati's defense is garbage. It just is. They need 2 more pieces, in my opinion, to make that a viable defense. I like Stewart. I like the defensive lineman. They need a corner and another safety. Because current safety is good, but they need 1 more nice safety. A corner is going to lock people down. A safety that's going to play in the box more so and be that third linebacker when they do nickel type stuff. And I think they'll be fine. But they don't have that right now. Carson Wentz has a live arm. I expect Justin Jefferson to get 10 to 12 targets. I expect, not Addison. Oh my gosh. The guy sitting in for Addison. Can't think of his name right now. I expect him to get 5 targets. TJ Hawkinson. Watch him get 5 to 6 5 to 7 targets. And for the love of money, Jordan Mason, he should have been drafted, but if he's not, pick him up. He's starting for the next 4 weeks, and he's not giving the job back to Aaron Jones. I like Aaron Jones. I do. But Jordan Mason is that power running back that they need to set up play action. If you notice, when Jordan Mason was in the game, there were holes on the same plays that they weren't before. Mason is going to be the difference for this Minnesota Vikings team. Minnesota wins the game. Let's go on to the next game. Pittsburgh, New England. This game is going to be closer than most people think. I don't know what happened to Pittsburgh, man. They should have beat Seattle last week, especially at home. I can't tell you where the flaw is. I know the defense isn't as good as I thought it would be. I think Porter was out last week, and I think he's going to be out again this week. New England is they're going to be better as the year goes on. They're 1-1, right? They won last week. I thought they should have beat the Raiders. They didn't. But the Patriots, quiet as kept. They're going to do something. I have them, if you watch my AFC East prediction show, I got them going to the playoffs. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I got them getting the 7th seed, maybe 6th seed, 7th seed more likely. But I think they're going to sneak in the playoffs. Absolutely. But I also believe Pittsburgh is going to rebound and play Steeler ball. I really think so. You got a young quarterback. Stephon Diggs isn't being that big of a target share that I thought it would be, but it's only 2 weeks in. By week 5, 6, if it's still low, I'll back off of Stephon. He's got Cardi B and a baby on the way, so I can see why his brain is a little haywire right now. You know, you got a baby with Cardi B. That's a forever lock. Woo! But I got to go with Pitt. I mean, I've got Pitt headed to the Super Bowl. Possibly. If that defense don't fix itself, I'm going to need a lifeline and change that pick. Let's go. In my opinion, the game of the week. And possibly the NFC Championship. I said it in the preseason. The Rams versus Philly. I don't care. I absolutely don't care that Jalen Hurts has not thrown one passing touchdown this year. Okay. They're running the ball effectively, and they're winning with running and sound defense. Why does he got to throw the ball for a touchdown? When he can run it in, Saquon can run it in, somebody else can run it in. But in this game, he's going to have to. Listen to what I'm saying. The Rams gave Philly the most problems last year in their playoff game. In Philly in the storm. If not for the heroics of Saquon Barkley and a fumble by Kyren Williams and a missed pass by Matthew Stafford because he had Cooper Kupp open. I know that's a lot of ifs. I know. But we might have seen the Rams versus Washington in the NFC Championship game. And I'm not going to say that the Rams might not have beat Washington. That's how good I think the Rams are. I literally think if not Philly, then the Rams are going to the Super Bowl this year. Devontae Adams, my opinion, is a slight upgrade from Cooper Kupp. Devontae Adams took a lot of hits, but he caught a lot of balls last week. Puka Nacua was still Puka Nacua. Kyrie Williams didn't have big numbers, but he had a decent game. They're protecting Matthew Stafford, and that defense is showing up. Philly, oh my gosh. Philly. Either put Cooper DeJean at corner to go along with who I thought should have won Rookie of the Year. Mr. Oh my gosh, I just lost his name that quick. Mitchell, Quinyon Mitchell. Make those two your starting corners. Slide them to the slot if you have to. But Cooper does not need to be a safety. I get it, he can play it. But Cooper is a lockdown corner. You need him for this. Quinyon can handle AJ, but when AJ gets physical, Cooper's big enough to handle some of that physical stuff. Quinyon is okay, but he's not the biggest DB. Coverage-wise, yeah. But y'all have to do something. I mean, hold on. Time out. I just had Philly on Philly crime. Quinyon can cover Puka. Cooper can cover AJ. You don't need Cooper DeJean playing safety versus the Rams. You need him to lock up on Devontae, and you need Quinyon to lock up on Puka. End of story. Have your defense stop Kyrie if they can. If Carter is not in the middle, I predict, or when Carter's not in the middle, I predict the Rams will do the same game plan as Dallas. Book it. They're going to implement the same game plan that Dallas implemented versus Philly. And if Philly sticks with keeping Cooper DeJean up top, you're going to see the ball get spread around to those receivers, making spaces for Kyrie. With that being said, I'm picking the Rams to give Philly their first loss. Both of them are 2-0, but I think the Rams are the better team. Both have outstanding defenses. Don't sleep on that Rams defense. I know they gave up 20-something points a game last year, but again, their team couldn't score last year for the bulk of the year. They were in and out, and the defense was on the field most of the time. Times have changed. I'm telling you. Rams. Let's go to the Jets versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My boy Chris, he loves his Buccaneers. Everybody better love Baker. Put some respect on Baker's name. I even said and I was wrong. In the preseason, I said the Bucs will go 0-4 without Tristan Wirfs. Now they're hurt up on the defensive side too. Clancy isn't going to play. Got some issues at the corner. It's rough out there. The Baker's ruling the minute. They should have lost Atlanta, but they didn't. Young Ho Koo, hey bro. That was it. Beginning of the end for you, bro. But now they're facing the Jets, another team with a backup quarterback. Tyrod Taylor is old, but Tyrod Taylor is efficient. Tyrod Taylor is going to give you stability at the quarterback position, but he's going to hurt the Jets' quarterback position. You might say, how is he hurting if Fields was erratic? Fields could run and get first downs. Tyrod's a pocket dude. Oh, I expect to see Garrett get like 8 targets, short targets, maybe intermediate. I don't expect anything deep. Breece Hall, that dual threat between Fields and you, out this week. And Tampa might be hurt, but they still got Vita Vea coming for you up the middle. Bucky Irving and White seem to be a good 1-2 punch for Tampa Bay. Emeka Egbuka, who's always had injury problems in college, got a hammy, he's got something else. Game time decision, he's questionable, right? That's a lot of pressure to put on. And remember, McMillan, he's out for the season. That was going to be their number 3 or number 4 guy, right? So it's down to Otten and Evans, Otten being a tight end, Evans being a receiver, to get the bulk of those receptions. Because who you bringing in? Shepard? Sterling Shepard, quiet as kept. He's a pretty decent receiver. With the Giants, he was their number 1. The injury bugs came in. He's older. I believe he's going to be the number 2, especially if Egbuka can't play. But he's been inconsistent lately, the last couple of years, when he has played. That Jets defense ain't no joke. It ain't. And I'm not using proper English. It ain't. But again, I look at Baker versus Tyrod in this matchup. I think Baker is way better, even with the limited amount of weapons he's going to have, versus Tyrod and all the weapons he's going to have in the passing game. Because of that, I don't think Sauce is going to lock up Mike Evans. It's going to be a good battle, but I think he's going to lock up Mike Evans. I got to go with Tampa versus the Jets. Now, in the preseason, I gave this to the Jets because Justin Fields was there. If Justin Fields was there and Tampa was still dealing with all these injuries, especially losing players on defense, I would have picked the Jets. But I have to pivot. I have to adjust. It's just the way it is. Uh-oh. Let me see what Chris put. He's a Bucs fan. He says Bucs 72, Jets 12. He has a bias. Y'all. Then he says Tampa's running backs have a massive streak of consecutive 100-yard games combined. Yes, they're running the ball. They are running the rock in Tampa. But the Jets defense, they're good at shutting down the run and getting after the quarterback. So they're going to collide. But without Clancy now, it's going to be tough to get after that quarterback. But I got respect for your team, Chris. I got respect for your oh, here we go. Jets always all lowercase. That's my guy, Chris, y'all. Let's go. Look. I have not been wrong thus far about Tennessee. I have been wrong about the Colts. Wrong in the fact of them winning or losing. Not wrong in the fact that Danny Dimes gives the Colts the best chance to win. And Daniel Jones is the leading quarterback in the NFL right now. It's got to be the Giants. It's got to be the Giants. The Colts, a friend of mine reminded me, Van, shout out, reminded me that the Colts defense has always been good. It's been the offense that's been the problem. Daniel Jones is making Michael Pittman Jr. worth having and not keeping him on your bench. Jonathan Taylor used to be a #1 overall fantasy pick. Now he's a second, third round pick. Now he's okay. He's okay. Hold up. Chris says, when you're done, if you have time, who are your surprise 2-0 teams and 0-2 teams? I'm talking about one right now, Chris. I'm talking about one right now. The Colts are surprise 2-0. Surprise 2-0 to me, right? I can't say enough, and I'm about to go in on it, about the Colts and why I believe Daniel Jones is the answer. And the surprise 0-2 is Houston. I expect Houston to start out 0-2. I think I had them starting 1-1. But I didn't know how bad that defensive line was. I already said it was bad, but I didn't know how bad it was. Offensive line, I should say, offensive line. But the Colts, under Daniel Jones, they call him Indiana Jones now. The Colts, get it? He's being surgical. And he's a mobile quarterback. They haven't even asked him to run. Flip side, Tennessee. What did I tell you about Tennessee? What did I tell you about that quarterback? Ward's character is starting to break the image that he's put out there for the team. I peeped his character last year. He's not happy that folks are dropping the ball, as he should not be. As he should not be. But as a quarterback, you got to realize how you're throwing that ball might play a role in why these folks aren't catching the ball. Everything doesn't have to be a slip finger fastball. You can throw some change-ups. You can throw a slider or two. But that defense in Tennessee is not that good. The game's in Tennessee. The Colts, my surprise 2-0 team, Chris. I think they're going to come out 3-0. Originally, when I thought Richardson might be starting, I had Tennessee winning this game. But I don't think they win this game. I got the Colts. I mean, they're playing all around good football. Their punter has not punted once in 2 games. Last year, I think he punted like 98 times or something like that. Crazy. But again, 2 weeks gone, doesn't make a season. 3 weeks gone, becomes a habit. 4 weeks gone, they're going to be a problem for people. I got to get to my game. The Las Vegas Raiders come to Washington, where yet another quarterback is out. My quarterback, Jaden Daniels. Look, I love my team. The only criticism this offseason, well, 2 criticisms I had this offseason were waiting so long to pay Terry the value he is. 2, trading Brian Robinson. There is no power back in Washington right now. Losing Austin Eckler, whose jersey I have on right now, is big. Now you're going with a rookie, Bill. Of course, I can't even say his real name, but he likes to be called Bill, so I'm going to call him Bill. Who looks like he can carry the load. But then you got Chris Rodriguez, also from Auburn. Both these guys from Auburn. I think he's suited up. And you got Nicholson. for Marcus Mariota, who has beaten the Raiders twice in his entire career. I think he's like 2-7. I get it, different teams, different schemes. But Micah Parsons used the hell out of our rookie Conley. Max Crosby's bigger, maybe not as fast, has a lot more moves than Micah does, in my opinion. I don't think so. The Green Bay Packers rushed 4 and got like 6 or 7 sacks, and that was just because Micah was in a mood. Washington has had like 10 days to prepare for the Raiders, and the Raiders had like 5.5. Geno normally bounces back when he has a poor performance. And our secondary, the way we play, he might go for 300 again. But the breakout player, if we don't contain this guy, is Denty. Washington's going to have to find a way to stop him. Period. You stop him, Brock Bowers with a bum knee against one of our linebackers or one of our safeties, I'm going to give it to my safety. Now, Brock Bowers didn't have the bum knee. Different story. But let Geno throw that ball up. Brock Bowers' legs are gone. They're not even going to try to tackle him at his weight. They're going to take his legs out. Then Jacoby Myers and Thornton. I'm not worried about them as much, but they're going to rack up yards. This might be a homer pick. It might be. I'm going to go Washington. I love my team. I'm being blind in that pick. Home field advantage. That's why I give it to Washington. Home field advantage. Let's go. Denver at the Chargers. Look, I did not expect Denver to lose. I touted them as the best defense in the NFL. And they go out there and lay an egg. Not happy about that. Uh-oh. Look. Chargers are charged. Harbaugh said, hey, man, I got my quarterback, and he's going through. Who's got it better than us? Nobody. The Chargers are 2-0. I expect them to be 2-0, but not the way they're 2-0. Oh, my gosh. Adding Keenan Allen after losing your starting left tackle and putting in the guy that was the best left tackle in college that you shifted to right tackle. Now he's back to left tackle. Losing your starting running back and have to start a rookie. Khalil Mack is playing. He has a brace because dislocated elbow. Man, this is going to be a slobber knocker. I don't expect a lot of points in this game. I do not. In fact, this is a toss-up game to me. But the way Denver played last week, I know I picked Denver to win the division. All right. I don't like Denver's passing attack right now. Not as much as I did coming into the season. And I surely was not considering the Chargers passing attack. Quentin Johnson has probably been the most picked up receiver off of waivers past 2 weeks because he can catch now. Lad McConkey, Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen. Quiet as kept, one of the best threesomes in the NFL. Just telling you. I gotta go with the Chargers. That one might come back to bite me in the butt. New Orleans at Seattle. Look, I have no love for New Orleans. I had New Orleans going 2-15 this year. They've got fight. They're 0-2. Spencer Rattler isn't looking that bad, but I think they're calling plays that accentuate his abilities versus exploiting the defense. So with that being said, Seahawks, Sam Darnold was Sam Darnold the first half of that game versus Pittsburgh. Second half of that game, Sam Darnold looked like he was in Minnesota. New Orleans is not that good of a defensive team, and Seattle has a strong defensive team. We had a Walker sighting. I'm going to say this on air. I think Washington goes after Walker by the trade deadline because they're going to see that they don't have a power back in Washington. It'll be a rental. Just like Brian Robinson was in his contract year, so is Walker. Washington has leverage with Walker because Walker has never played a whole season. Robinson was there, and he could have commanded a large number. When I get to the trade, I didn't like the trade. But I see them getting Walker from Seattle because Seattle has a slew of running backs right now that I think could start on any team that got running. Maybe even some zone run schemes too. But they've got like 3 or 4 backs. Their fullback literally can play halfback. Literally. He did it during the preseason. It looked pretty damn good. I got to give it to Seattle. I mean, New Orleans is good, but I don't think New Orleans is that good. I don't think they're good enough to compete on the level of Seattle right now. They almost beat San Fran, but remember, San Fran, backup quarterback, only one wide receiver, backup tight end, lost people on the defensive side of San Francisco. So, the output New Orleans gave versus San Fran, grain of salt. Grain of salt. Dallas and Chicago. Eyes 0-2, Dallas is 1-1. Look, I'll be very honest with you. It is not the head coach in Chicago. I'm going to venture to say it's not even Caleb completely. I'm going to say Chicago has not fully bought in to the head coach's philosophy and the way he does things. If your head coach, which happened, week 2 press conference leading up for week 3, comes out and says they still don't even know how to practice, and it's week 3, some people in that organization need to look at what's going on. Are the players on that team capable of adjusting to Ben Johnson? Ben Johnson's proven that he can take a team that was not that good and turn them into a powerhouse, given the right tools. I think Chicago has the right tools. I do. But they're so used to doing things a certain way that when that philosophy change kicks in, it's a problem. It's a problem. Let me change the way I look, because my guy told me If you squeeze it in, it says farts, and I just saw it. It does say farts, but I'm not an old fart. Anyway, I got to tell you, Dallas is some garbage, hot garbage on offense. I expect this to be a 50-plus scoring game. Take the over, Dallas and Chicago. Take the over. Dallas almost let the Giants beat them. The Giants aren't that bad on the defensive side of the ball, but they let the Giants, the Dallas Cowboys defense let the Giants receivers get open all day. And that's what I mean by Chicago. It's not the quarterback, it's not the head coach. It's everybody else trying to fit in that scheme. There are going to be opportunities for Caleb to have massive numbers this game. Dallas is going to have to put up massive numbers too. As much as I want to give this to Chicago because I think they're ready to shift gears, I got to give it to Dallas because I just think Dallas's offense is better. Defense is terrible, but the execution on Dallas's offense is better than execution of Chicago's offense versus the opposing team's defense. So I was about to write down shy, but no, I got to put Dallas. Got to put Dial ass. 2-0 Cardinals taking on the 2-0 49ers. Matt Jones gets his second start for San Francisco. Nothing much has changed except he's going to start. Brock Purdy looks like he's going to be the emergency backup quarterback. Arizona. I'm here. I go to the games. They got a short week. They play Thursday night. Arizona is not a strong 2-0 team. There are still some kinks in what they do. I think San Fran wins this game, but it's an AFC West game, and I think it's going to be close. Even with the issues they had on the offensive side of the ball for San Francisco, players being gone, I think Arizona has no answer for CMC. They don't. Ricky Pearsall can't do it all by himself, but Jawan Jennings is decent enough to be that guy to take a little pressure off. As long as San Fran plays aggressive defense and gets after Kyler, it's going to be tough. But I got to go with San Fran. Next up, KC at the Giants. KC being 0-2 is a surprise. However, not my biggest surprise. I actually had KC finishing the season in third in their division. That's why Kansas City being 0-2 isn't a big surprise. I had Denver, Chargers, KC, Raiders. Honesty is, I just don't believe in KC. But going against the Giants in New York, Giants with a lot of fight. A lot of fight. They better get that ball to Scatterbo. I'm telling you, they better get that ball to Scatterbo. If they care anything about protecting Russ or whoever, let that battering ram be a battering ram. That helps Robinson. It helps Neighbors. It helps Russ and that defense. I think New York's defense is better than Kansas City's offense. But I don't think their defense is better than Pat Mahomes. Hollywood has to have a sighting. Tragedy is going to be seen. Either you're going to run Pacheco and Hunt, or you're not. Pat's going to throw the ball, but you need those two guys to touch the ball at least 15 to 20 times. I'm going to say 20 to 25. Let me up that. 20 to 25 times. Kansas City, if they hope to win this game versus the Giants, they need to run the ball 20 to 25 times between Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. That's what they need to do. I know that's not their MO, but that's what they need to do to beat the Giants. Hollywood, Worthy looks like he's not going to play. Juju Smith-Schuster, got to do something. I think Pat can beat the defense as long as they have a strong run game. Play action is his friend, and it gets people open. But you got to run the ball effectively to do it. I got KC. Detroit at Baltimore. Some thought this was going to be the Super Bowl last year. Here's the thing. Was last week actually the offense of Detroit, and week one was just the dominance of Green Bay's defense? Baltimore lost a heartbreaker to Buffalo week one. Come back, beat Cleveland week two. Lamar and King Henry held down. That doesn't happen this week. Campbell's going to have his hands full. His hands are going to be full trying to stop Henry. Detroit, protect Jared Goff. I mean, if you don't protect this guy, play caller, not just offensive line, play caller, he's going to be naked, and it's going to feel like he's back in LA with the Rams. Get creative with the play calling. That's one thing Ben Johnson did. He made plays and called plays that had the defense second guessing what they were supposed to be doing. Therefore, they were successful. You line up, send one person in motion, and the team does whatever it is they do. It's not enough. You got to do some lopsided line, something. Because Baltimore's coming. Hell of a game. I got Baltimore. Sorry, Detroit. I think this is going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a good game Monday night. Those are my picks. I just get rid of this Joe Flacco. Uh-oh. Hold on. Oh, he says my music bed is competing with my audio. Well, I'll turn it down a little bit. All right. I had a fear that would happen. I had a fear. But Adam says, get rid of this joke, Joe Flacco. This guy's been a bum for years. He's 10-26 in his last 36 starts. Adam, look, I didn't think Joe Flacco was going to make it through that game. They benched him for Dylan Gabriel, who didn't do much better. I don't think that Joe Flacco is going to finish the season. I really don't. I think Flacco's going to get knocked out. If not this game, then soon. Soon. I can't say he's a bum because he's a Super Bowl champion. Should he have gotten the MVP of the Super Bowl? No. That was the late Jacoby Jacobs. Was it Jacoby? Yeah. That receiver who had that kick return and a receiving touchdown, he should have been MVP. But he guided the team to the Super Bowl and he won. I get it. The Ravens defense was the actual driving force, but the quarterback gets all the credit. Let's go over my picks again. Buffalo, Atlanta, Green Bay, Houston, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, the Rams, Tampa Bay, Colts, Washington, the Chargers, Seattle, Dallas, San Fran, Kansas City, and Baltimore. Those are my picks for the week. 11-5 week 1, 12-4 week 2. Let's see what I do in week 3. With that being said, I want to thank my guy. Yeah, it just had a pop, didn't it? I want to thank my guy, Chris Etter, for jumping on. I want to thank Adam for jumping on. I thank my guy, Descar, for jumping on. Listen, folks. You know what? Before I go, I got a question. If you draft a player, if you draft a team in fantasy, and at some point you leave the draft, but it's still going on, and you get an auto pick or 2, how long do you wait to check your team lineup to see who you got auto picked? There's a serious conversation that's in my league right now, whereas I had to do something as the commissioner I did not want to do, but I had to do it because there's a rule in place. The first thing is there's a rule in place for certain stuff. The rule got violated. It was a mistake how I got violated. However, for almost 2 weeks, so draft happens, week 1 begins, week 1 ends, and I discovered the violation. The person claims they never looked at their team, so they didn't know that this player was on their team that violated the rule. I zeroed them out. Because that's the rule. Then, I let them know that that's what I was doing. And others said, hey, man, maybe this, that, and the third. Da, da, da. So, and also locked this team because I went drastic because that's what I said I would do if somebody violated the rule. So after hearing a few people in the league make their comments, I kept the 0 for week 1, but I unlocked the team and let him do what he needed to do after week 2. The issue is the player that was picked up that shouldn't have been on his team was on his roster during week 1. Didn't use him, but he was on his roster. I don't think anybody's going to pick him up. However, the owner of the team never looked at their roster. So they had no idea that this player was on their team. Week and a half goes by, and you haven't checked your team. Is there any stance for me to not impose the rule? I partially did it because the whole rule says if you violate it, you will lose any FAB money, free agent budget money, if that's how the person was picked up. You will get zeroed out for that week. I will lock your team down from any transactions. So this player wasn't picked up on FAB money, so that wasn't an issue. I zeroed the player out or the team out, and I unlocked the team after for that week because it rolled into the week. Also, I played this player the week that the thing was discovered, which was week 2. I did not play him in week 1. I did not benefit whatsoever from what happened in week 1. I did not benefit anything in week 2. In fact, he beat me week 2. But conspiracy theorists abound. People saying I should have not zeroed him out because I'm like, no, if you're the owner of the team and you don't know who you auto picked, that's not my fault. The rule had been set from last year, reiterated throughout the summer, and also talked about during the draft. Ladies and gentlemen, is that fair or unfair to implement that rule? Said I would ask. I asked. Hopefully you guys can leave your comments in the section. Let me know what you think, because I'm not changing it. I went to Yahoo and asked a question about the player. Prior to going to Yahoo, I said, if this were the case, I'll give you your total score for week 1. But if this is the case, that 0 remains. With that being said, Yahoo comes back and says, well, it was already this way. So I said, fine, the 0 remains. It was rough, y'all. It was rough. I have an opening in the league next year, according to this player. It is what it is. It is what it is. Follow up to that, Jaden Daniels was just ruled out on yesterday. The rule is you cannot have, well, one of the rules is that you cannot have more than 2 active quarterbacks on your roster. Someone picked up a quarterback before putting JD on IR. Now, it was brought to my attention because as soon as JD got put on IR, the other owner picked up a quarterback, right? He didn't put JD on IR right away. It was brought to my attention. I made a post and said it needed to be immediately adjusted, or that owner would also get zeroed. That owner went ahead, put JD on IR, showed the league. I said, fine, cool. That's one thing I like about Yahoo. If you have position limits, they only affect it during the draft. They don't let you do it during the season, which is stupid. Why have it in the draft but not in regular season? Makes me want to go to ESPN or go back to ESPN. But anyway, that was the case. And now the original person I zeroed out is like, he violated the rule. He needs to be zeroed. And I said, look, dude, bottom line is you had way more time to make the adjustment to your roster than he did. He fixed the issue within 10 minutes. You waited almost 2 weeks, and I had to delete the player because you didn't look at your team at all. after you had auto-picked a player or two. But I'm interested in what you guys have to say. Please let me know. All right. I got to get ready to get out of here. It's been a long day so far. Right now it's 11:20 my time. I've been up since like 4. So I've already worked. I'm still doing the army thing, doing more in the before you guys get up. People are like, who gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday? This guy. Still in me. Anyway, next week I will be here Saturday. Currently I have an obligation on Sundays that would interfere with me doing the show on Sundays. But if that obligation clears up, this show will permanently move to Sundays. I'm not looking at that happening anytime soon, but you never know. We'll see. But same bat time, same bat channel next week. Hold on. Here we go. Chris says, I get up at 5 a.m. every day. Half of the past 20. See? Chris is also former military, but he's been retired about 10 years, Chris. Almost. Chris has been retired a long time, longer than me. I've only been retired for a year. But, dude, it is what it is. I appreciate you guys. I am Mr. FSP to you. And I'm going to see you when I see you. Come out.
Fantasy, sports, and politics. Get ready to rumble! You wanna talk smack? You in the right place. So take a step back before I get all up in your
Remember, because I don't remember. I remember every bit of this.
You're the dudes holding on the phone line. Your voice will be heard, sir.
Next caller, please.
Oh!
Jerry's gonna get him.
Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics.
Listeners are asking questions about this week's games, not Jerry's personal beef. So what's your thought?